Utah Puck Report. I'm your host, Jay Stevens. Want a quick shout out to my sponsor. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. And it's Larry H. Miller Toyota in Murray. These guys have been great to me, and they've been great to hockey players forever. Even including back in the days when they were sponsoring the Golden Eagles and owned the Golden Eagles. And you're just part of the family at Larry H. Miller. If you buy a car from them, your family, and you can go in and get service and buy a new car. Go check them out. They've got, I'm obsessed with the Land Cruisers. I'm obsessed with their Forerunners. They're just awesome cars. LarryHMillerToyota.com, or you can go check them out in Murray. This is a bonus episode, but it's a sad episode. I try to be the bearer of good news. And I think everybody that's watched my show over the last 9 years knows that I'm a big fan of the Utah Grizzlies. And it was leaked to me today that the Utah Grizzlies are in the process of being or have been sold to Trenton, New Jersey, is where they're going to move. And so this upcoming season, the 25-26 season, which would have been which will be their 30th season, is going to be their last season at the Maverick Center. And as of right now, there are no plans for hockey to be in the Maverick Center following that. Now, a lot of stuff can change between now and then, and I might be jumping the gun a little bit. I've been going back and forth with the Utah Grizzlies since this news came out. I know a bunch of stuff that I'm not allowed to say. There's stuff they're telling me I'm premature on talking about it, but I know it's happening. And I know it's happening because as I was finding this stuff out, there was a press release about a new coach in Austria named Ryan Kanasowicz, who had zero intention of leaving the Utah Grizzlies. And so I've reached out to Ryan, and he said he'd rather not comment on anything that's going on. So he's not my source, but I do have multiple sources telling me this. So this impacted me a lot more than I thought it would. I've got an article coming out, and I talk about like how much the Utah Grizzlies have meant to me. Some of my first dates were going to the first season of the Utah Grizzlies with my wife, and it's what kept me playing hockey. And, my infamous 15 minutes of fame, which gave me this podcast. It gave me everything else as an e-bug. 27 seasons of it as being the e-bug for the Utah Grizzlies. So I thought, I gotta get more impact. I don't want to use fire terms for this, but I want to find out more what the people are thinking. And so I leaked this out to a couple of my close friends. Bill McCloud, you're man, we've been hockey guys playing hockey together for as long as I can remember life. And my good friend and former Grizzly, Mason Mannek, who I've known his entire life because his dad's one of my best friends. And I just thought it'd be good to have you guys on. And guys, thanks for being on the show. And Bill, I'm going to start with you. What did you think when I told you what is supposedly happening, allegedly happening?
It's heartbreaking. I got the whole feeling, the same feeling I got when the Golden Eagles were announced that they were leaving. It really hit me pretty hard. They're the saviors of hockey in Utah for us. I mean, they came in when we lost the Golden Eagles. I mean, granted, it was a few years later, but they gave us hockey again on that level. We wanted to watch it be played, and to hear that they're leaving, it really was a blow. Like, we all know people that associated with the Grizzlies. We've loved the team for a long time. So it's going to be hard for, I feel like the Phoenix Coyotes, I feel like Phoenix right now. I mean, granted, the Grizzlies, they've been a little flat over the last few years with playoffs and stuff, but they're still our team, and to see them go it was a blow. It really was a shock. So.
Yeah, really tough. And yeah, they've been flat for the last couple of years, and there's reasons for that, and I defend them all the time and talk about it. I think Kanasowicz has been a phenomenal coach. I've had the luxury of sitting on that bench and being in that locker room and being on the ice in practices for so many coaches over the years. I mean, Don Hay and Jason Christie, and there's been a ton of coaches that come and go. And I got to go back. Butch Goring, like where it all started, right? What a legacy to sit on the bench for Butch Goring. But I thought Kanasowicz was right up there and an up and coming star in the Avalanche system. But and then Mason, I'm not trying to embarrass you, but I think one of the coolest things is as you were growing up, and your dad would, I'd give your parents tickets to to games and stuff. and you were playing for the Junior Grizz, which is another big part of what the Grizzlies meant to this state. And when Mason was a little kid, do you want to tell a story about your voicemail on your phone back in the day?
Yeah. Yeah. That goes back to just being kind of a prideful Utah kid. And when it was one of my first phones, and my mom let me make my own voicemail. And so I remember going into like the back, I actually went into my parents' bedroom, and it was somewhere along the lines of, "This is Mason Mannek with the Utah Jr Grizzlies. Sorry I couldn't get to the phone right now," and all that stuff. So it was a part of my life, that's for sure.
I loved it, man. So walk me through when I called you. What were you thinking?
It's tough. It's tough. I was at my cabin when he let me know, and so driving home, I had about 3 hours to kind of process it. And as I got to thinking, like I had the absolute pleasure and honor to play for them and to wear that jersey, but it goes back like way before that. Like I remember, for I think it was my 9th birthday, like taking all my buddies to a Grizzlies game and getting signed stick from all the team. And like you said, playing for the Junior Grizzlies, we were able to go to a lot of those games, and like it's some of those games and being a part of that was like a big part of my childhood of why I grew to love hockey the way I did in the beginning. And then fast forward to when I played for them, like going in to when I signed with them, hockey was like, I'm just to be flat out honest with you, like I hit a little bit of burnout. It wasn't, it was kind of tough for me. And like the Grizz gave me that passion back, and why I love the sport now, and why I'm trying to coach and get back into it. So it's been a big part of my life, that's for sure.
That's amazing to hear the kind of the full circle part of it too, because I know like people don't understand like what a wear and what a burden. I don't know, maybe burden's not the right word, but man, it wears on you to play juniors. And you got to play AAA midgets and whatever, and live away from home from 14 years old to make it to that level, and then go to the Grizzlies. And I know, like at juniors, you're playing for whatever coaches, and I knew that there was some real consideration of you not playing. You probably had some other offers, and you thought, well, I'll just play. Maybe I'll give Utah a shot and come in here. Like you could see it recharge your battery. But man, how many people's first dates were at the Utah Grizzlies, and how many hockey players are coming out of the state now because they went to the Utah Grizzlies for the first time, or the Utah Grizzlies went to their elementary
Yeah.
with the plastic sticks and said, "Hey, try hockey," and they did, and they loved it, like we all do, like anybody should, and became hooked. And it's just to me, and I know we have the NHL, and I know people are gonna be like, "Hey, this is just the natural order of things," but it's not, because the natural order of things would have been the Utah Grizzlies stay here, and they either become the AHL affiliate and still play out of the Maverick Center, which is a perfect building for hockey, built for the Olympics, built for Olympic hockey.
Yep.
And it just made sense to me that they would become either the AHL or ECHL affiliate for the Utah Mammoth. And it seemed like they should stay here. And the impact is going to be families that can't afford to go to Mammoth games could have gone to Grizzlies games.
Yeah.
And I think selling them is short-sighted, because hockey's going to blow up here.
Yeah.
And there's so much emphasis on youth hockey right now that everything's blowing up. And Mason, I know you and your dad are coaching, and Bryce is coaching, and there's just like they're pulling us all back in. They're just desperate because they have so many more players. They need more coaches.
Yeah.
So Bill, what do you think, man? It's hard. It's rough to hear about. And you're in the hockey industry, and you're coaching and you're with the Outliers. What do you think the impact's going to be overall for Utah?
I think it's like you said. I think it created a great opportunity for families to be able to go and enjoy professional hockey and be able to afford it. I wonder what's going to, fill that void. And I think fans are going to look for something else. And it could be, who knows, it could be the Salt Lake Real. I think it's an opportunity that's going to get missed with keeping people interested in hockey when they can't afford to go to the Utah Hockey Club games. Because we know tickets are going to go up more next year. So with the renovations and stuff, but it really was, I think it's a blow to that middle industry here in Utah, where people don't, they're looking for an economical way to watch hockey. But in the end, it might be a good thing too for some of the junior programs and the college programs here locally to kind of attract some attention and to get some ticket sales. University of Utah, Weber State, UVU, like a lot of those programs could benefit from this. It really could go either way. And so, but in the end, it's going to leave a giant hole. I mean, it's Utah Grizzlies. Like I took my wife there it's probably one of her first hockey games, just like you said. And so we have a lot of history. We have a relationship. And in the end, when a team like that leaves, it's like a breakup, we're going to be in mourning for a little while, but hopefully I am glad we get another year, so that we can say goodbye and support the Grizzlies the best we can. And, soak it all in when at least we get one more year. That's kind of the way I look at it.
When I look back at the Utah Grizzlies, I think back to that first season, and I think of Tommy Salo, and I think of Andy Brickley, and these names that came through here and then went on to have good NHL careers. When I was doing the research for my article that I wrote about this, it says over 200 players that played for the Utah Grizzlies played in the NHL.
Wow.
And I mean, so you talk about the impact we had, and I've seen it. I can't remember which Florida player it was. I think they played in Bridgeport or they played somewhere in the A, and they reached back out.
Verhage.
Yeah. They reached back out because it's not just Utahns that are going to miss the team either. It's everybody that had the opportunity to come here. And what an amazing building to play in. Like, I love the Maverick Center. Gold medal games, affiliations with Dallas Stars, Phoenix Coyotes, New York Islanders, Anaheim Ducks. It just goes on and on and on. And recently with Colorado Avalanche. And can you think more about what kind of impact you think this is going to have, Mason, or more feedback on what you think's going on here?
Yeah, I think the biggest worry I have is, and it's kind of a point we've already touched on, but just having an affordable way for people to watch professional hockey and not having that, it's going to be tough. And the way, as I've been kind of getting into the youth side of it, the amount of kids that play right now is crazy, and the way that's climbing and how good they are. And like you said, I mean, not only is tickets to the NHL games pricey, but they're limited too. And so I just hope there's a way that we can still get hockey in front of everyone's eyes and make an impact. But yeah, it's going to be tough. I think that's my biggest worry, though.
Yeah, me too. And the access, Mace, you know how it is. These players, these kids, they watch a game, and if their parents are willing to, you can go down and wait outside the door and meet your favorite Grizzlies player.
Yeah.
You cannot do that in the NHL.
Yeah.
And you had easy access to these guys. And then a lot of times they'd be like, hey, my son's got this practice. I remember doing this a lot of times early on before people realized that an e-bug really wasn't a big deal. But they'd be like, hey, my son thought it was fun to watch you on the bench or whatever, or just that you wore a Utah Grizzlies jersey. Can you come out to their practice and help them? And you're like, yeah, I'll come out. And I saw Grizzlies do that all the time. And, I remember Gregor Baumgartner and a lot of those guys would just come out, and Greg Lieb, that's kind of one of the things how he got into coaching here and ended up staying here, is just the access that fans had to these players that further impacts the, hockey in their life. And I think that's just one of the things we're going to miss. You guys think I'm you think there's something else going on? You think I'm running around like Chicken Little and the sky's falling, or you think something else is going to come?
I don't know. I mean, with the Maverick Center is the perfect place for hockey. You'd have to think that, I mean, if we can get an American League team here one day, I just can't see that place being empty. And maybe as time goes on and West Valley maybe crunches some numbers or whatever, and we get the opportunity to bring someone back in, then maybe it'll be more appealing to them. Maybe timing was just not right with what's going on right now. I'm not sure, but I would like to think at some point we'll get something back. But
yeah, I agree. I think having something at the Maverick Center is vital, especially for West Valley City. It was a huge revenue, machine for them. Even on slow Grizzly games, it's better than nothing at all. And so you have to think, they're probably panicking right now. What are we going to do with this building? It's going to sit empty. So I see, obviously progress is going to happen. I mean, wheels are going to turn, and hopefully they can get hockey back in that building. But if not, it's going to be a sad day.
Ticket sales were up 20% last year. After the Mammoth came to town, the Utah Hockey Club came to town, whatever you want to call them. ticket sales the season before that, right after the announcement that we were going to get the NHL, ticket sales went up. Hockey is definitely alive in West Valley. The demand for hockey is growing in West Valley and throughout the Salt Lake Valley. I thought at first when I heard the news, I'm like, obviously this is something bigger happening. And as I looked into it, they're like, no, this is the result of the ownership just cutting ties and moving out of Utah, and had a good opportunity. Trenton used to have a team. Trenton, what were they called? I'm trying to remember the name of their team because I had it. I wrote it in my article, and I used to remember seeing them. Anyway, they used to have a team. They lost their team like 3 or 4 years ago, and somebody decided to bring it back. So good for them. I'm glad that hockey's going somewhere else. My guess is that if you have a building like this, and I'm telling you two this because you probably already know it, but I want the audience to know that I believe, and I'm wrong all the time, but I truly believe that hockey will be back in the Maverick Center eventually because it's too perfect of a building to not, and like just great sight lines. It's too perfect of a building, and it's too much of a coincidence that having this much hockey grow so fast, and it's just going to keep growing. You can't have that building empty and not have something in there to draw the fans, whether it's the Outliers or, and I know you guys get your own building.
Yeah.
And is that going to be open for this season? Can we sidetrack a little bit? When's your new building going to be open?
I can unofficially say that the Utah Outliers will have their home season in Park City this year. Dates and stuff, I cannot confirm or divulge anything, but we will be in Park City this year for our home season. So
I drive by it, man. I see it going up. It's exciting. It's exciting to see it up there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just wanted to get you guys on. I felt like I wanted to be the one to tell people. And like I said, I've been going back and forth with multiple members of Grizzlies administration and Maverick Center administration who are telling me, don't break the story yet, you know. And I see that they have reasons, but their employees already know. There's a reason that the staffs are jumping ship. And I just wanted you to hear it coming from me because I'm a diehard Grizzlies fan. I'm like, it's not once a Grizz, always a Grizz, but for me, it was once a Grizz, always a Grizz. And I've got 250 or 300 games on that bench, and every one of them meant something to me. I had a great time every time. And I'll tell you, some of the games that meant the most to me, not just the one that I played, but sometimes playing with guys that Peter Menino, who I got to back up, who I knew when I was an equipment rep, and I watched him come up through juniors in college. He played here. And Aaron Dell, who went on to have an amazing season. And the coolest things, though, was watching Mason Mannek play for the Utah Grizzlies. Because
you have to say that.
I don't have to say it. I'm sure your mom will still come cut my hair if I don't pump your tire a little bit. But I'll tell you,
I remember that.
Stuff, man, it's awesome.
Yeah, I remember playing when you were backing up for Tulsa that one game and seeing you over there. That was pretty cool.
You know, Jay, we all lived through seeing you down on the bench. Like, I know him, like you did things we all wish we could do. And, you did that with the Grizzlies. And so it was always fun being up in the stands and saying, that's Jay. Like, like with seeing you play, we all kind of lived through you a little bit. So it was always nice to see you on the bench when we went to a game. So
it was always fun to be there. I can't not mention how many times I got to back up against Garrett Metcalf. Another amazing thing to have happen. And I'll post the pictures with this too. There was a couple times it was me and my son at practice. And there was a day where a goalie got hurt and a goalie got called up. And it was me and Tegan at practice that morning. And Kanaswich is like, I don't know what's going to happen. If the Avalanche don't get somebody here by then, one of you guys are going to have to start, and you guys are going to have to decide who. And I'm like, it's got to be Tegan. He's young and he's way better. So, yeah, I mean, I could tell stories like I said, I've got 300 games over 27 years. I could tell a lot of stories about the Grizzlies. They mean a lot to me, and I hope whatever happens, somehow we get the Utah Grizzlies back.
Me too. The other thing I thought about, I mean, I know you're probably wrapping up, but just from a player's perspective, is I know Utah was it was kind of a destination spot, especially for the West. of the East Coast League, like the Western Conference. So now that you're losing that, I mean, not to dog on New Jersey, but I've been there. It's not quite like here. So hopefully they can get enough guys to make a good team. But yeah, I know a lot of the players will probably be pretty bummed out that they can't come here too.
Yeah, and see that's another thing that people don't think about is that, and I remember Trevor Daley, who ended up having a great career with the Dallas Stars and Pittsburgh Penguins. I remember him telling me, he's like, I didn't know anything about Utah. I thought it was weird. He was one of the ones that also thought that Utah or that Mormons were Amish. And so he was a little confused when he got here. And he's like, man, top secret, Utah's one of the greatest places to play.
Yeah.
Like, he's like, I loved living there. I loved, like, the people were great. The East Center was great. The food was great. He's like, the nightlife wasn't, what it is in a major city like New York or whatever. He's like, but it was enough. It was enough for me to go out and have a good time and go back and be a responsible hockey player trying to have a good career. So yeah, I think you're right. And I'll bag on New Jersey. I've been there a lot. It's like driving bumper cars.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to bump into you and it's dangerous. And when my daughter graduated West Point, I'm like, I'm never coming back to New Jersey again.
So Jay, do you think, and one of the things I'm always curious about is, once this does go public, public opinion, is there any way that the Utah hockey fans can sway the deal? Do you think that there's any kind of influence that the fans here in Utah would have that could make things go south and maybe make the, Smith Entertainment relook at things? Or do you think it's a one? Do you think the ink's dry? Is what I'm saying.
I think the ink is dry. I don't think guys would be jumping ship if the ink wasn't dry. I could be wrong, but I don't think there's a way the fan base could get. It's not Smith Entertainment we're worried about. It was the Elmore Group that sold the Grizzlies, or that is in the process of selling the Grizzlies. And David Elmore died a couple of years ago. He passed away a few years ago, and it was sad because he loved all his teams, and I've met him several times, and he seemed like a very genuine, loving person that took care of his employees at least. And I think the family's moving on. Honestly, I think that's probably more than anything what it is. And, but I think that if the fans are loud enough, and I think that if it just makes sense to me to do something. And I know that the Mammoths signed a 1-year deal last year with Allen, right? 6 players and a goalie were in Allen last year. I don't know how long the deal is with Tucson. I don't think anybody actually really knows. I've asked. People post about it all the time, like, oh, hey, I know this. I know that there's only 1 year left here. And they kept saying that about the deal with the Avalanche and the Grizzlies, and they were always wrong. At least I knew that deal, but I don't know what the deal between the Mammoth and Tucson is. It could be it could be never ending. But it just makes sense to me that something happens. And maybe that's part of the move. Maybe this is a chess move, making them say, hey, do something now,
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a lot that goes on behind the pictures that, behind the scenes that I never see. But yeah, that's it. And, this doesn't have to be a full length episode. I just wanted to touch base with a couple of my hockey friends and get some feelings and some feedback, and maybe express some of my own. But this was a little therapy session for me, I think.
Yeah, we all probably needed it. So
yeah, I mean, it's a big part of all of our lives. And like I said, first dates with my wife. We went to the championship game. The first year they were here was the year I was dating my wife, and going to the championship games and all that stuff was amazing. And
the New Year's Eve skates. I mean, there's so many things
yeah.
we did. Just we got to go on the ice and skate with them. I mean, it was too many memories to count, but it was great.
Well, and I teamed up with the Grizzlies to start Guns and Hoses. And then I ran that thing for 17 years, and we did great charity work out of there. And we put, I remember at one of the games I had Life Flight, Air Med, every helicopter, every heavy rescue, every SWAT, like every piece of apparatus so every kid could come to the Maverick Center across all the way around it and just look at all the apparatus that the first responders and the Army use. So I just have so many memories there. And I hope everybody does. I hope everybody that's listening to this is thinking back and saying, like, it was awesome. All right, closing remarks. Bill, what do you got for us?
Gosh, I wish you had better news. Kind of a somber, it really is a somber day. It's going to be a sad day. when we see the last Grizzly game played at the Maverick Center / E Center, we're always known as that. But I wish them luck wherever they're going, and hopefully they can carry on that Grizzlies tradition that we all know. That do as best as you can and be great when you're able to be great. And so that was good hockey, and we're grateful they gave us hockey before we had an NHL team, and that's gonna be really sad to see him go.
All right, Mason, closing thoughts. What do you got?
Yeah, first off, thanks to you. Thanks for filling me in and letting me know what's going on. And yeah, I'm just to the state. It's a sad day for the hockey community for sure. And I'm super grateful for what the Grizzlies provided me and my family. And like I said, I don't think I'm as involved as I will be in hockey in the future without what they provided for me. So yeah, I'm super grateful for my time there, and hopefully we get something back. So
Before I let you go, Mason, will you tell everybody what you're coaching right now?
yeah, so I just actually the Utah, I guess the Mammoth now, but they put together a Memorial Day Team Utah kind of tournament thing, and so I just finished up with that. Me and my dad coached the 10U team and the 12U team, and we brought home the championship in both. So that was pretty cool. In my first coaching behind the bench experience, anyways. And then other than that, just a lot of private lessons. I run a camp out of Bountiful every Wednesday at 5:15 for kind of higher end 14 to 18-year-old players. So that's kind of what I've been doing.
Awesome. And for me, I'm just gonna and kind of announce now that upcoming for this season, you're gonna hear more from hopefully me and Mason and Bill and my good friends Jack Skilly and Trevor Lewis, and there's a few of us that are gonna be jumping on and doing a lot of pregame and postgame analysis for the Mammoth. We were planning on doing the Grizzlies too this year, but we're going to be your source, man. We're going to be your source for actual hockey news for the entire season coming up. So, like I said, we'll do post-game analysis after games and pre-games, and it'll be at a decent time, like when you're driving home, and we'll jump on live and dissect stuff and take calls and take information from people, whatever they want us to go snoop and find out. We'll go find out. We'll have player interviews and all that coming up. So, the Utah Puck Report's looking to get a lot bigger this year and a lot better this year, and you're looking at a lot of my team here. So, again, I owe all that to the Utah Grizzlies. So breaks my heart, but I hope something else fills that Maverick Center and can start, new memories. Maybe the old jersey, maybe a new jersey, but new memories, hockey memories, importantly, and family memories, most important. And I guess that's it, man. That is the Utah Puck Report.